Ismail, welcome to Thriving in the Age of Disruption podcast series. We are very excited to have you here today. I'd like to start off by inviting you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ismail Gafoor, CEO of PropNex, Realty, Singapore's largest real estate company. We do have more than 11,300 salespeople helping us to bring the dreams of many people in their real estate journey.
Wow, that is a big sales organization. Say a little bit more, Ismail, about your family.
I'm a very happy person. I always feel young. I'm always positive. Married with 3 beautiful children. My wife is a pillar of strength, and my children are grown up, and I'm truly happy and feel so blessed.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm excited to have you because you're someone who's been in the media and people talk about your entrepreneurial journey. And in this podcast series, I talk about entrepreneurship in terms of not just starting and running a business, but also the entrepreneurial mindset. Could share with us your journey from being someone who was in the armed forces, and then you had moved on to the business, and how you did that shift and what was the motivation around that?
I really love the armed forces. One of the key things about the armed forces is discipline. And the discipline came hugely from my dad, because my dad is an immigrant. We were really not well to do. 5 siblings and including myself, 6 of us. And we all lived in a 1-bedroom rental flat. My dad being a news vendor. Why am I trying to tell that little story? Because that has got some huge grounding to who I am today. We used to wake up every day at 4 to 4:30 a.m. to deliver newspapers, literally 364 days out of 365 days, the only day being Boxing Day, where there are no newspapers those days. So discipline come from my dad. Leadership came from the military, because at the age of 18, when I was enlisted, I was lucky enough to be selected to go to officer cadet school, and that 1 year of grounding, and thereafter 13 good years in the military as a regular pensionable officer until 1995, where I felt that though I love the army so much, I feel that I could do more being an entrepreneur, that I want to achieve something to reach a greater audience. I won't say I break my bond, because the fact that when I broke my pension, basically I get 0 money, which I could have got at the age of 50 or 55, more than $1 million of gratuity if I choose to remain in the armed forces. But I felt there was a calling within me that military is good, discipline, but what will I be? Maybe a general, maybe not. I did not want to regret my life, and that was the decision for me to resign from the armed forces. When I left in 1995, 1st July, I continued to hold appointments in my national service as a battalion commander, brigade commander, and as well as a division chief of staff. And I just retired in 2019. So military is part of me. I love the military. I think nation building and nation defense is something part of my blood. On the other hand, entrepreneurial journey is something that I truly wanted.
When I was listening to you describe your entrepreneurial journey, you pointed out that there was something within you that was driving you towards a bigger audience or something to that effect. Can you share a little bit more about that?
I mean, one of the key things that I realized was from my childhood, I was able to influence people. And I was able to communicate and articulate things quite effectively. Not that I was a scholar, not that I did well in my academic, but the confidence within me that it is all possible. And I realized that when I went into the army with the discipline and the leadership, I had the same opportunities, where as part of the command, I was able to influence my soldiers to do things willingly. And then I felt that, how about me going out to bring more dreams? Being in real estate is something that was planted even before I went into the army. And I think that has truly got to do with our childhood bringing. The fact that we worked so hard to deliver newspaper. Every newspaper we deliver, we only get 4 cents. And at the age of 18, while I was traveling in a bus to go to my national service as a BMT, basic military training, a friend of mine told me that his uncle sold a flat near Kavanagh Road as the bus was passing. And he said his uncle sold and made probably a $250,000 profit. It sounded insane to me. How could somebody sell a property and make $250,000 when I have to wake up early morning and deliver for 4 cents? Quickly, I was trying to say, how many 4 cents will make a $250,000? My mental mind wasn't fast enough. But I was quick enough to say, if I can make 250,000 selling one property or owning one property, if I own 4 properties, I would be a millionaire. So that was deep in me. The real estate is something that I'm excited about. Though I served the army for 13 good years, my passion was all about real estate. And that's where somehow it felt that maybe a journey on an entrepreneurial path. Obviously, Dr. Ramesh, it would be a big fat lie if I say I was a visionary, I left the army because I wanted to be a founder or CEO of Singapore's largest real estate company. It was never, never, never the case. In fact, when I left the army, within 3 days, I was hospitalized for chest pain, middle of the night at 2 a.m. because I felt that I made the wrong decision of leaving the army. Been there for 13 good years and the first job since the age of 18, suddenly I want to be an entrepreneur without a mentor, without guidance, without anything, with only one belief. Your heart says you can, the can-do spirit that you can, but actually truly you can't if you don't know where to start. And that's where the toll started to build on, stress builds up, and anxiety and chest pain. And I was hospitalized for a couple of days and the doctor checked everything and he said, you're perfectly normal and fit soldier. Yeah, but I said, I'm no more a soldier. That's my problem. And myself and my wife just went to Genting Highland just to relax and said, hey, there's no point worrying and stressing ourselves, but it's to execute. The fact that military have taught me a lot of execution, and we decided to put most of these things in use as part of the commercial world.
Wow. So let me summarize it. What we have heard is, number one, the power of big dreams. And they started when you were a young child, from delivering newspaper together with the rest of the family, to next when you were passing by Orchard Road and one of your army mates told you about this big property that his uncle had sold, and connecting that to something where you saw, wow, 4 cents per newspaper to 250,000 in one property deal. And that ignited that passion towards property. Number 3 is keeping that alive and taking that risk to say, okay, thank you for this great career in the military, something that you've always been proud of and passionate about, but it was now time to go out there and explore the big world outside with a can-do spirit. And then, of course, you had your challenge with the quick reality check that you are out there in the world with no mentors and no safety blanket. But at that point, to have someone like your wife to empower you and to have that chat that, hey, let's not stress ourselves. Let's just get back to implementation. And both of us are really good with planning and executing, and let's do that. Thank you for sharing that journey. It may sound very simple now, but as you look back, each one of this was a moment where you've discovered something important and moved on. But mostly you've kept the faith in yourself, in the future, and in pursuing an entrepreneurial journey. So what does entrepreneurship offer you?
Beyond freedom here is the ability to make things happen. I think entrepreneurs obviously have positive mindset. One of the key success traits of an entrepreneur is, other than believing in himself, he has to make decisions, which is expected of all leaders. But how timely can you make decision is crucial, because sometimes when, let's say, there is flood, you wait until The flood is over and the water has gone, and then you say, let's pick up the damage. It's still a decision. But what do we do when the crisis happens? That's leadership, and that's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is being nimble to know that there is always a way out. Never a time that you are stuck. There is always a way out. And regardless of what crisis, what darkness, the clouds, knowing that the next day you will see the sunshine. It will happen. But how do you navigate through the night? Do you have that patience, the calmness to believe in yourself that let's do something? It is about doing something that makes the difference. And that's the most amazing part of being an entrepreneur.
Well, that's really good advice, not just dreaming about it, but really taking the action. It's interesting that you also introduced that whole concept of crisis here, because crisis is any kind of setback that we experience. And I like the fact that you talked about navigating crisis from a sense of having patience and being calm about it. And were you someone who was born that way, or did you develop it?
No, I don't think I was born that way. And I think almost every one of us can learn these traits. In fact, I was more hot-blooded when I was young. That was part of the military. But the good thing here is I had a sense of balance that I will not lose my head. In fact, many a time when I was young, whenever I lose my head, it's about myself, about why I've not done better. Yeah, it is always putting in a high expectation on myself. So the main thing about crisis, it is always understanding that, hey, being angry, being emotional, being upset, you will never be able to find the right answer. And exactly as you said, it's about doing things in a crisis. At least there's hope of getting out of it, than to just pointing fingers and blaming. Nothing is going to change. I'm very, very crystal clear about it. One other thing, Dr. Ramesh, shares is crisis is good for entrepreneurs. I always felt that we as a company will do exceptionally well when there's crisis. When there's no crisis, we will do well, but we will not be exceptionally well. Because in a non-crisis environment, everybody is an entrepreneur. Only in a crisis, in my honest opinion, a team of people, not one person, the CEO, a group of people who are so aligned with the belief of adding greater value to people, mankind, and society can move mountains. And because they are so collectively so positive, that they will do exceptionally well than many other companies. We are very, very confident about that.
You're actually pointing to something very interesting that we have also observed in our consulting work, which is sometimes crisis or setback has a rallying force to bring people together. When they come together, it's almost like you can set aside your petty differences, because now it's that one direction, it's that one future that we're all going to march towards. And that's true alignment. When companies can do that, not all companies can do that. I think it's a special aspect of its corporate DNA. Obviously, PropNex has that. How did you cultivate that for PropNex?
Very good question, Ramesh. The rallying point is easy for every company to find in a crisis. But I don't think it is going to be easy if the culture and the DNA of the company has not been built before the crisis. So culture plays a huge part of it, and the values of the company plays critically most important part. What is the belief of the people within the company? What is the sole existence of the company? What is the core ideology, which is the core values plus the purpose of the company, which forms the core ideology? So cemented and very strong within your core key management. So you look at crisis, everybody look at it from a similar angle. And before even you utter a first word, they already know we are in a crisis. And everybody's excited. Only one thing in their mind: how are we going to get out of it and add value to our people? So it is not during a crisis, a leader standing outside and rallying to paint a very risky picture and say, listen to me, believe me, let's rally. Because when we start to do that at the moment when the crisis starts, maybe close to 50% will not even trust They are going to ask you, even in good time, we did not do. What makes you so sure you are a leader who is going to lead us to do this? And that is going to take a lot more time to get your thoughts organized and to get the support of the people.
What you have described is a hallmark of a visionary leader who has foresight. Because most leaders we found in our practice are quite happy with the good times and to write that out and not to invest in those moments when you face a challenge. And that's when you need the collective willpower of your people and your team to work together. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. The next question I have for you, Ismail, is that when you look at decision making and leadership, would you have advice that you want to share with the younger generation in terms of how they can develop their leadership acumen?
Whether you're young, middle age, we need to be guided by values. The minute we are not guided by core values, it's difficult to make decisions. And we cannot be blinded by money as a motive as an entrepreneur. Because the day when we are blinded by money, chances are we are going to make decisions that we will cut corners, and more often than not, we will be blinded to our own values. And this is going to just bring you down the slippery slope. And you may make some money, you may get out of a situation, but it is never going to be long term. To give a very simple example, as far as PropNex is concerned, when we started the company, I think in 1996, initially it was known as Norris Consultants, was coined after my wife named Noraini and my name Ismail. We grew very fast within the 2 years to become the biggest Malay Muslim real estate company. But then we started to ask the question, so what, being the biggest Malay Muslim real estate company, when the pie is so small? And that's where we decided, with the amalgamation of few other like-minded people, to form a partnership to start PropNex 22 years ago. But the message that I want to say here is, when we started PropNex, it was doomed to fail within the first 4 years. In fact, 2 occasions, we were at the verge of destroying the partnership and destroying the name as well. Simply because I started PropNex in year 2000, simply because I wanted economies of scale. Because we were small, we think the big is small and we have to be faster, and therefore the only way here is to come into partnership with few other partners so that we can be big enough and we will enjoy huge amount of economies of scale and we can pass on these benefits to our people. Concept-wise is right. Execution-wise is wrong. Because the partners that came together, I did not focus on what were the values among us that drives us and what we want to achieve. And that's why it couldn't move much forward, even though we can grow fast. Without the foundation being strong, the pillars are not strong. So I think in any company, the strong piling pillars will be the core values and the purpose. Once you have a very crystal clear about it, then your decision making is easy. Every decision, as you make and you train over time, it is in micro milliseconds before you utter a word out of your mouth. The brain will be so fast to just go through the process to say, how do you say yes or no? Because it will say, hey, is it against your values or not values? Is it the right thing to do or no? You will say no, a firm no. If you say yes, if you say, let me consider, again guided by values. So I am a person who is so much so about values. But to tell you the truth, Dr. Ramesh, when I started PropNex, there wasn't any core values for the company because our values was only economies of scale. And that's why we had huge amount of problem for the first 4 years. Then in 2004, we decided to put in place our core values and our purpose. Then we started to build our foundation right to who we are today. So to all the young entrepreneurs out there, ask yourself, what are you guided by? What are the core values? What is the purpose that you want to real this company? Is it that we want to be rich, or is it that something within you that you want to make a difference? Just very briefly, if you say, what's our core values for PropNex? Acronym simple, CARE, C-A-R-E. C stands for continuous improvement in everything that we do. And then A, autonomy on entrepreneurship of all our people.
Oh.
R, respect and concern for every individual. And E, ethical conduct of the business. Now you ask me, how do I make a decision? If you ask me to make a decision in such micro frequency seconds, my brain will have to say, am I curtailing autonomy? Is this being part of entrepreneur? Is this continuous improvement? Am I respecting people? Is this part of the honest ethical conduct? If it is not, the answer is no. You have to be guided by something. Then it becomes easy process.
I really love how you have made the corporate culture, one's core values and purpose of an organization, so simple for people to understand, and how it can be effective when, you know, it is clear for the individual on what they have to choose in that moment, because every moment we're making a decision.
Yeah.
And no one has to go back to their boss or to check things because they are empowered. You've delegated it to them. It is very inspiring that you have thought very carefully how to build this company so that it is sustainable. That's a big challenge because you've got 11,000, 12,000 people. How do you distill that core value down to that single individual to embrace that? Let me now move to a new topic, and the new topic is spirituality. We want our guests to share a little bit about where they are in their spiritual journey. And for you, Ismail, what's that journey like?
I discovered something, Dr. Ramesh. There's the power of Almighty. No man is bigger than Almighty. And one of the reasons what gives me the energy every singular day to do what I'm supposed to do, I come to this realization some time back that I'm not hugely gifted in my education when I was young. I only had O levels. I did my A levels part-time, did my diploma part-time, got a degree part-time, and it is not about education. Then I felt, what am I doing? Why do I have 11,300 salespeople in Singapore and another 2,000 over salespeople overseas in Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, or Cambodia? But then I felt that it was the Almighty's decision that my purpose is to make a difference in the life of the people. You might be one of the first interview that publicly I'm going to say this. I felt that the Almighty have chosen me as his distributor. One of the many thousands of distributors of his love, guidance, and support to anyone who come across my path. And the Almighty knows. The day when Ismail's head swell, when he thinks he's bigger than the Almighty, when he started to use the word, listen to me, I am number one. When I'm not doing the right thing, the Almighty knows when to remove me as his distributor in a split second. And I'm down, all the way down. And I know that. And I come to this realization, the purpose, not about my company, the purpose of me being a human being on this earth. The Almighty, the Creator, He is ultimate. And it is my journey now to do what I'm supposed to do. And that gives me huge amount of energy to every day wake up and come. How spiritual? Okay. Am I happy what I'm doing? And I'm happy.
Yeah, I totally get that. That was very profound. Thank you, Ismail. And, you know, how did you discover that? If at all there was a moment, or is it over time you got to see that?
I think it is an overtime issue. When you actually started to have that quiet moment, I think it's important as leaders, we need quiet moments. And in that quiet moment, ask yourself, why are you more successful than others? Why when you touch things as an entrepreneur, you get things a lot more moving? Who's behind you to give you the energy, the direction? Sometimes you are right. Sometimes you don't know you are right. You use your gut feel. As we said, sometimes we use the faith. Who's ultimate supreme to guide you? If you create huge amount of wealth or guidance. If that was that little spirituality within me, I submit. It is not me. And I absolutely will say, the growth of PropNex cannot absolutely be me, Ismail. It is a group of my people who are extremely strong. I mean, if you ever visit and talk to my people, Dr. Ramesh, we can write a thesis. They will all
I'm
talk
sure.
like me almost. You know why? My CEO of my company was someone who joined me 18 years ago as a management trainee. And
Wow.
he's just 40 years old of a main board listed company. My executive director is with me for 19 years. People stay with me and they grow together with me. I mean, almost everybody is 10, 12, 15. We believe in one thing, that we are here for a purpose.
Wow. What I also hear is that there is a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to have this life, to be a distributor, to be that instrument. Also, I can hear the importance of being able to do some introspection or self-reflection. Because when we do that, then we see how we can be part of the bigger scheme of things.
Yeah.
Than just look at everything as something that I did or I was so smart. But here is something that you're building as a collective with people who have been your longtime partners and collaborators and co-creators. A lot of people are stressed with the disruption that we are seeing today. And at some level, the disruption has come to a point where people talk about how even chicken is not available. But more importantly, we need to start confronting living a simple life. Is it possible to live a simple life? And what's a simple life for you?
Yeah, definitely. I 1000% agree, Dr. Ramesh. We all can live a simple life. And I think life is only beautiful when we live simple. I think we choose to complicate many things ourselves. My honest opinion here is, what is simple life? It's a happy life. So whatever we do, there must be, again, purpose. Why do we need to work so hard? Why do we need to earn so much of money? One thing is absolutely certain. We all cannot live forever. How smart you are, how rich we are, we all have an end state. So why do we want to be not happy? Whether you're an entrepreneur or you're not an entrepreneur, or whether you're a manager or the director or a staff, we have to be happy. You should be happy working. So as long as you enjoy the journey, everything will be meaningful. As long as we have expectations, we will be disappointed. So am I saying as a CEO, I don't have expectations on my people? No, I set KPIs. But if they fail, is it 100% their problem or is it my problem? I take it as our problem. What is the point of the end of the year? I said that you fail me when I, as the CEO, it is my issue. Why did I not spend time with him 3 times within the year to see what was his struggle? So I failed myself. That's why I said, if ever my frustration and so on is always, I reflect myself before I point at the next person. Can life be simple? Absolutely yes. As long as you don't cling to ego, you don't cling to leadership, you don't cling to power. As long as you walk the journey knowing that you're doing it as what is expected of you to make a difference in the life of people around you. It's a journey, and enjoy the journey. And that will definitely be simple.
What a great recipe. Don't cling to ego, leadership, and power.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. What do you think then we could do to have a thriving or a flourishing life?
Yeah, I think this is innate of human. Because if you don't grow, you wilt. When you wilt, you're not beautiful. The flower is only as beautiful as long as it remains strong and it continues to grow. Only when you grow, you bear fruits. Only when you bear fruits, you feed more people. So that being the case, it is always about thriving against current, against crisis, against norms. Thrive. It's okay. We can't achieve. The worst thing here is not to thrive. It's give up. And that's not life. So I think thriving is the way.
Two more questions for you, especially. One is about family businesses. You've got 3 kids. You're looking forward to them coming in and joining you in the business. What are your thoughts?
I think, as you also pointed out, Dr. Ramesh, 80% of most businesses are family business. If you want to have family businesses, one generation to another generations to carry through, then please seriously look into the core values of the company, the DNA of the company, the purpose and the ideologies, and therefore one generation to another generation can carry through for as long as it is possible. And that's perfectly okay. But as far as my company is concerned, because we are a main board listed company, from the definition, we may not be truly a family owned company. My eldest daughter started working for me last year, 1st July, after she graduated from business administration from UK. She did very well. And I threw her last year for the first 10 months as a management trainee, from the lowest customer service counter to support system to logistic. And she just started her next role as a normal executive under the human resource, because while she was at customer service, she said, "Daddy, you should get more good staff. You should have more people who are very customer oriented. You must have the right fit." I say, "Good." So you go to HR, go and fill all the gaps now. So the fact that now she learned. So next question, is she destined to be the CEO? May not. Because I strongly believe this company should be run with the most capable person, which means meritocracy at its best. But can she contribute at what she's good at? So people have to accept the leader, that you are the right person. So nobody can walk up just to say that I am part of the family and I'm the most fitted. No, it cannot be that.
So we do a lot of work with family businesses. And one of the things that we've found to be useful with family businesses is also to have them not just look at the purpose and the core values of the business, but also to create a similar one for their family. Because then it includes the aspirations of the individual family members, as well as the collective family, because some of the family members might not want to join the business and some have different ideas. But at least at this point, then you can embrace the totality of what happens within the family. And the business also can be, distinct from the family, and that gives people the space. So a lot of this work we do actually in Vietnam and Thailand. And I just wanted to share that as well. The last question that I have actually is that Lion was sharing with me that you published a book in 2015. And I wanted you to share a little bit more about that book and what was that motivation?
I've published 3 books. The first book I wrote, and I was quite fortunate at that time, our former president, SR, wrote the foreword for the book. He came to our office to launch the book. And obviously, because with all the media coverage, it became a national bestseller. The book title was You Can Fly. And the objective of the book was very simple. It's all about belief system. And every one of us can be a strong leader. Circumstances can force people to be a stronger leader. That was the first book. But the second book also became a national bestseller. Very simple, probably would take an hour to read. In fact, the whole book was coined after I spoke to the children of my agents. And there was one of the event, about 40 children came to my house because I hosted for about 200 people.
Mm.
And all the parents said, hey, motivate my children. And the children, 9 years, 10 years, and 12 years. So I started to go to some whiteboard and started to share a lot of concept.
Yes.
I took most of these things and created a book titled Timeless Gift. Is about 4-quadrant life priorities. And what I did was, assuming we live up to 80 years, what is the focus point for the first 20, then 20 to 40, 40 to 60, and 60 to 80? And if you live beyond 80, it's blessed. So my conclusion was, for the first 20 years, the most important thing other than education is values. If you have the right values and the foundation with education, we will ride through well in the second quadrant. The second quadrant is the most busy quadrant. People get married, people get career, people get house, people need to do so many investment, and at the same time, some of them go through a divorce within that same quadrant. But one thing I say that we must do is invest right. That you're at your peak, 20, 25, 30, 35, whether you want to buy a property, whether you want to save money. Yeah. Then from 40 to 60 is about making a difference to your loved ones. Because when you're 50, your child will be 20. Your parents will be 70, 80. So it's about giving back and guiding your loved ones. And 60 to 80, if you're working because you enjoy it, not because you have to, this is where you are supposed to give back to society, give your time, and make a difference to mankind. From that concept, I developed a story of 4 characters to explain how everyone fumbled at different stages of the quadrant and why one character by the name of Andrew did well, understanding the story from the other 3.
And the third book was?
Well, the third book was purely on the ultimate guide to real estate.
Right.
And that was written many editions, edition 1 to edition 5.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. It's so inspiring to talk to you. Our listeners will really benefit from listening to how you think and what has motivated you. Thank you very much for joining us in this show and sharing so candidly.
Not at all. Indeed, my pleasure. Appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you.